The title of today's episode is Society Makes the Monster. Episode 30. Also, I haven't done a titled episode in a while. Plus, not like a titled episode, but one that actually has a number. Like episode 29 was Bon Appetit, Your Majesty. So you can go listen to that. And then obviously listen to this one. And usually if you look on the YouTube on the playlist, usually there is there is the Cine Shows playlist, which has all of the episodes. But then I think there's a different not that one. You don't actually want that one. You want the other one, the one that has the one that basically has them all titled. Yeah, no, the one that you want is Cine Shows 4 episodes. So that is obviously all of them all the way till 29 that I said. And then obviously this one is episode 30. So welcome. Again, and obviously we're going to be talking about the new Frankenstein film. But when I was thinking about this episode, I want to make connections with the fact that the whole beast idea, right, and the whole monster idea anyways, because exactly why I say society makes the monster is the fact that Frankenstein, the creature, sorry, that's what I mean. Everyone's been doing that as well. I just did it. How crazy. That obviously people have been calling Frankenstein when obviously the creature is called the creature, and then I think also its real name is also Adam. But anyways, I also obviously is that the society hates the creature, you see, and also Victor does too, the maker. I also was watching a clip, I think earlier today, from Pinocchio, another one of Del Toro's films, and I was like, wow, because obviously he does like to do films like this that show father and son relationships, and obviously Pinocchio would be like as the second one to this one, basically, or would have been the first one anyways, actually, and then this would be the second one if you just say in terms of dates. And then obviously you can even see in Pinocchio anyways that the guy who created Pinocchio, he obviously just wanted to create Pinocchio exactly as a replacement for his son anyways. And then obviously the clip's just like, oh, why can't you be more like Carlo? Like, that's a scene from the movie. And obviously Pinocchio's like, well, I'm not Carlo, I'm Pinocchio. And like, even though you made me, and that's the whole thing with somebody being a creator of sorts, because they want to create the thing that they create, they want it to be made in their own image. And that's the thing that obviously but that's a thing that I've also thought happens just in general, even exactly on the subject of existing and creating is, do you know what I mean? It's all about how you shape a being. And then I think when I say that, it's about how it's like, of course, when we're all born, we're all shaped in a certain way because of our environment and our upbringing and all these different factors. So of course, here we go. Of course, we need the two main structures, which is a loving environment and also just love and affection. Both. Do you know what I mean? So, and I think both of those, like I said, they both obviously coincide into each other, because the main thing that stands out obviously is love. It's not hard to ask for, but that's basically all that you do need in it as someone who is exactly brought into the world. And that was my whole thing with the Frankenstein movie. Victor created the creature, but then it's like he created it not as the means, as he didn't have the means to love the creature, but he still made it, but he only made it for selfish, and scientific reasons. So all this stuff for just experimentating. And we're like, no, like obviously the creature is someone. You've made him all these different, like, of course, yeah, the creature was made up of different bodies of different people. So it's like you've made him with all these different minds and thoughts and feelings and human emotions, because obviously he's a human body. So you've made him all this stuff, but you don't expect him to like feel, or do you know what I mean? Like want all the things that a normal human being does want. Like, do you know what I mean? And that's why Victor refers to him as a monster. And obviously obviously the creature's like, oh, I think, oh yeah, what's the line from the film again? I am, yeah, I am inhuman to you, or something like that. I need to find it. Oh, I found it. But I am obscene to you, but to myself, I simply am. Exactly. So really, he's like, you created me and you hate what I am, but it doesn't matter because I exist. And that's more than enough. Like, I exist. And so I should be able to get, exactly, to get all the things that all these other people have, you see. And then I think that's what I think is just crazy, because exactly Victor gives the creature no sense of direction, which is all the things that, as I said, you need to live and thrive. You need to know what the world is about. Like, you know, I guess the only one time, remember, really, that the Victor kind of showed him any kind of, I don't know, like, you know, when obviously the creature came to Victor at first, obviously when Victor thought he failed, but the creature came to him on his bedside and was like, and at his bed, at the end of his bed, and just stood in front of him and was just there. And then I think the only time Victor was probably like, oh my gosh, look, it's sunlight, it's sun. That was the only time I really felt like, oh, that was his only sense of, what is it called? Yeah, like comfort. That was the only other comfort that he ever really gave to the creature, but he didn't give any aside from that. He didn't do anything else but that. Apart from that, everything else was just a lot of like rude stuff and a lot of what's it called? A lot of rude stuff and just not being nice to him. And it was just, yeah, it was so hard to watch anyways. And then I know that the whole thing actually with Victor as a person was that he didn't get the love that he wanted from his father. So that was why he didn't know what it was to be a loving father, because he was somewhat known as like the black sheep in his family. That's the way that you could get from his perspective anyways, because William was born and then William was like the light of, or what did you say? What's the term called? Sunshine of my life, maybe, but that is what William was to his father. And then of course he was just like what is it? Just put to the side and like not really, yeah. I just feel like his dad obviously wasn't bothered about him. And obviously what's so strange is, yeah, his dad more wanted to install, I don't know, like pass on the torch, I suppose, onto Victor, which I suppose is fair, seeing as Victor's his oldest, but like still, William was there though. And it's like, if you love him like you say you do, like you might as well share it up equally, you see. But hey ho, just to put it all on Victor, and really not give him the slice of what you need in a person's childhood. You know, you want to be taught, but like you also want to have core memories that you have as well. Like, do you know what I mean? The other stuff that like you think to yourself aren't really that important, but they really are necessary. Like, do you know what I mean? You want to remember, yes, I learned how to walk, but like I also you know what I mean? I went on a boat or something, just one of those things with my dad or something like that. You want one of those, but obviously that is not what Victor got from his dad. And yeah, but back to even our argument anyways of society makes the monster. That's because, like, as I was saying, yeah, so Victor couldn't love Frankenstein. And then I feel like, I mean, love the creature. I'm going to keep saying Frankenstein, aren't I? Then you guys are going to, and you guys are going to get mad at me. But yeah, so the creature, obviously he couldn't love the creature, and that's the whole thing, because that's what's even worse, because that means, like, the creature would feel hatred from his own creator, which then makes him hate himself, and that makes the world hate him. Do you know what I mean? I meant like all three layers together. Because of course he goes out obviously in the world afterwards. So once Victor rejects him, like, of course he was rejecting him. He was rejecting him from the very beginning. Let's be so for real. But of course, when he rejects him finally, in leaving, obviously the creature gets to explore the world, but then he realizes what the harsh reality of the world really is. So predator versus prey and all these things. And he's like, wow, people will always be afraid of me and stuff like that. And that the only kindness then that he was able to get was from a blind person. And obviously that's like, do you know what I mean? I think that was a nice element to the story as well, because of course a blind person would not be able to, exactly, blind people are not able to judge you on what you look like, which obviously looks play a factor in, I feel like, exactly, in judging a person or putting them into perspective, right? People will have all these different ideas just because of how a person looks on the surface. So obviously the guy would be able to be like, oh, this is a nice person. And then exactly, the creature was doing all these nice things for that family, but of course he knew he wouldn't be able to come to them as he was. So this is the thing again. So this is why obviously it goes back to my title of society, because society likes to see the, what do you call it? Yeah, the misjudgments and the imperfections rather than what's underneath them anyways. So that's my whole thing. Also, I came up with this title because I also was thinking about Beauty and the Beast as well, which obviously when I thought about it now in the grand scheme, I was like to myself, well, yeah, the Beast kind of, again, his society, the society plays in his kind of, but he was he, like, I suppose, remember, his was a punishment put on him. Do you know what I mean? It was like, it wasn't even a thing where, oh, like, you know, yeah, where it was just like, of course people hated him, yes, and he wasn't a bad guy, but then when you look at, you know, the story of Beauty and the Beast, you're just like, you know, he was punished because he was like a snob. You know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't make it any better, but like, we're just like, well, like, it was of like a valid reason. You see, the woman who came into his castle and was like, oh, you will now be forced to live as a beast until you change your ways. You know what I mean? So I feel like obviously that is what is needed, you see, like, for a person like that, I mean, that's what's needed. But then of course you have to also argue that, oh, he should have just been, do you know what I mean, he just should have been a good person without having to need to go through his journey, you see, like, when, because if you do, again, as I said, reference it to Frankenstein, where just like the creature was born and like he wasn't, like, do you know what I mean, he wasn't what do you call it, yeah, this terrifying creature. Do you know what I mean? He was literally just like, he was like 1 year old. Do you know what I mean? Like, he came into the world full of light and he wanted to see the beauty in the world, only to realize it's not all that. It's not all that he thought it was. But of course, that's what I'm saying. I meant, like, the Beast, of course, his obviously is deserved. I just thought about the fact that, you know, I suppose when they do that song in Beauty and the Beast where it's kill the beast, and we're like, is that really necessary? You guys don't even know this guy. all you know is that he's a beast, and then that's the only thing that you're really holding on to, and it's the reason exactly for your hatred, but you don't really, there's nothing really else that's really playing to part in it anyways. And then I suppose when you also have to think about it is Belle comes into the Beast's life and is the only reason why he's able to like undergo a change. But that's what I mean. You're like to yourself, maybe without that, he may have been, he may have not obviously changed, and he might have stayed the same way. But I just do think that, again, like I was saying about Beauty and the Beast, is that the whole society thing does play a part, because obviously he felt like society also had like rejected him, and he'd also, exactly, that's why, he was locked up in there as a beast all by himself, and he really thought that he didn't really deserve affection from people, and he also thought people were afraid of him, which they were, and then you know what I mean, like, which they were. So it was just like he kind of obviously started to I remember when they're just like, you must control your temper, but it was because he was angry at the world, but he was also angry at himself too. We can't forget that he was angry at himself as well, you see, because of course, even when he goes on to tell Belle about the flower, he seems or the rose. Yeah, it's a rose. He seems upset about it in the way that he feels like he should have realized the error of his ways before, and even I guess before he was punished, he would have been able to change quicker. And okay, so really, of course, another layer again would be, still it would be society again, in the way that, yes, Victor's upbringing would obviously make him be the way that he is. Like everyone's saying, remember, Victor is basically the villain of this story, you see, because obviously even I thought that too. Like, even when I never even read the original Frankenstein, like obviously it's written by Mary Shelley. Never written it, but I've never read it before. I know that like they used to teach Frankenstein in school, but I feel like they stopped doing that, though. I meant for like, as maybe when I was in school anyways, because I never really got to hear about like that story or really dive into it in the way that in school they would choose a story for you and then like you just uncover and unravel it. Like, take how they want you to always do what's it called, Romeo and Juliet or Macbeth or something like that. But like obviously I feel like they did Frankenstein like way ages ago, probably like they did it a while ago, I think, when they used to teach it in schools, but they don't really do that anymore. But and that's such a shame, because as I said, I don't know anything about that. So it's just like I always thought exactly that Frankenstein was this the creature anyway. I thought the creature was this kind of scary monster, and obviously that's what the story would have us believe also. But obviously in this telling we can see that Victor was the bad guy, and in the way that, anyway, we know why he was the bad guy anyways, for a list of reasons. He was a toxic dad to he also, do you get it? He also, because you know what I mean? He's a toxic dad, which would then make the creature have lifelong abandonment issues, by the way. And then number three, I don't know, like number three. Okay, number three also, I would also think also about Victor is when exactly as Elizabeth's uncle. Elizabeth's uncle. So obviously that whole thing too, because he didn't go about that in the best way. Like, even though like I know that he was trying to make his creation, but it was like I thought the uncle wanted to help him, and then he was being like, oh, but then obviously then he finds out that the uncle wasn't well, and we're like, even so then he was still like, no. And I feel like, though, of course he didn't want to meddle in the idea of, I don't know, what do you call it, resurrection maybe, just because I suppose the uncle was telling him that he was dying or whatever, and then obviously um yeah, I guess his kind of deal to Victor was like, oh, you could somehow create a way for me to continue living. But then it's like, I don't even know what that even was, or what that even meant as well. I mean, it was so great seeing Christopher Waltz in this film as well. Actually, I was really excited when I saw him on there for the first time. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Christopher Waltz. And I was like, Christopher Waltz is such a great actor, and I think I was just shocked to see him in the film in general. Just because I suppose, also, I don't know, I haven't seen Christopher Waltz act in anything in actually a while. Obviously, as I said, he's a legend, but you just don't really see him act that much anymore. And then also, I think also what comes into play about society again, actually, is I guess how the film starts anyways. The whole prelude thing, and then in the way of how the creature has to come to these people and really try to instill fear in them, all because they won't give him Victor. And I don't think there was anything wrong with that. Do you know what I mean? We said, hand over my dad. Like, do you know what I mean? And he didn't even love me, you see. So this is my whole thing. I think even when I was watching it, when me and my cousin were watching the film, obviously my cousin was like, oh, well, what's really his deal for wanting to go after Victor? And I'm just like, well, I would go after him too. Like, do you know what I mean? I said, first of all, you brought me into this world. I didn't consent, number one. And two, you're going to bring me here, but then you're not going to love me as well. You're not going to give me the things that I need. Do you know what I mean? And the bare minimum, as I started out saying to you guys, the bare minimum, which is love. Like, it's not hard to do that. Do you know what I mean? But then, you know what's crazy about Victor anyways? So you don't want to love the creature, but you can love your brother's wife? Okay. All right. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it? It doesn't. He wanted to steal his brother's wife. You don't want your brother to be happy? And I suppose maybe you don't, because you've had some kind of envy thing going on with him. So I suppose you don't want him to be happy. But again, I think it's weird. I suppose, though, in another layer to that, I'm like, sure, maybe of course you'd love somebody like Elizabeth, though, because of the way that she sees beauty in things. But again, it's still weird. That's why I'm just like, it's still strange. Like, she's your brother's wife, so she's so, like, I guess, exactly. Well, like, by it's thinking like by law, she's supposed to be off limits, right? But you don't want to love the thing that you created. And also, that's what I was saying. Like, people should love things that they create, even if it's not created in the vision that they envisioned or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why that happens in the first place as well, because that's my whole thing. I just mean, even if you create something, you can love it without all of that, you see? And then again, that makes me go back to Pinocchio's dad anyways, because Pinocchio made Pinocchio just as a way to replace his dead son. And we're like, but obviously he's not going to be like how your son was, because first of all, he's not a real human being, number one. Like, he's made out of wood. And then two, again, he's not your son. So, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I think it's so bad anyway to exactly create with selfishness, right? And I think people would think, oh yeah, that's normal to be a creator and to create and be selfish with what you make. But we're like, no. that's not what you do anyways. And not when you're handling anyways, I feel, with real life forms, you know, real actually human organisms, like actually people, like, do you know what I mean? Things that you're bringing into the world, the actual world, like, you know what I mean? And you have to prepare them for that world. And then it's exactly like, oh, so you bring us into the world, but you didn't tell us we're supposed to be afraid of you. Wow, we had no idea. We thought that was going to be a normal thing, where exactly we were going to have someone who made us and the person was going to love us no matter what. But, obviously not. I was just like, that is so strange. And the whole time, I just wanted to hug the creature because I was like, wow, like, society doesn't love you, but I will. You know what I mean? But then, this is what I'm saying though. I feel like us as viewers, we've all felt that, that sympathy for the creature. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, there's people in your world that wouldn't love you, but I do. Do you know what I mean? I do, and I would love you. Do you know what I mean? And not even in the way that you guys are doing it, because you guys are thirsting over Jacob in the creature makeup, which then again I think is all well and fair though, because it's always what I say about it's what I say about Nick Wilde in Zootopia, because Nick Wilde is played by Jason Bateman. Jason Bateman is a real man. And people are like, oh, you like furries? We said no. Strike that off. Incorrect. So I feel like it's the same thing anyways. It's the same argument, because obviously, I don't know, people just like to make things weird though, but you don't need to. Like, Jacob isn't he like a 6 foot something man, right? And he's also handsome, number two. So that's what, do you know what I mean? That's what we're looking at here, but we're not looking at it as like, we're not looking at it in the way that you think that we're looking at it. So that's what I'm saying. I think it annoys me when anyone tries to call me a furry lover, because I said I'm not. I don't have anything against furries though, by the way. But as I said, I'm not a furry lover, because that's just not my thing. Do you know what I mean? Anybody listening, you might be, and that's perfectly fine. Like, again, what goes back to my argument of society, let's not judge others. You see, let's not judge others. Like, we should all aim to love one another, I feel. Okay, I just found this on Reddit that says, if Frankenstein's monster were conventionally attractive, do you think he would have hated his creator as much? This is very interesting as well. This is very interesting. If he were a supermodel with no visible sign that he was anything other than a regular human, then both he and Victor would likely be happier about his nature. Victor's main abhorrence towards the creature seems to come from his botched creation of something that was meant to be wholly beautiful. And though it's unclear what exactly he wishes to do with the creature in the first place, if he is beautiful, then Victor has no stated reason to abandon him. This question is really interesting, but I also feel like with Frankenstein anyways, it wasn't even anything to do with the fact that he was unconventionally attractive or whatever. Remember, it was supposed to be to do with the fact that obviously Victor was mainly angry in the film about the creature not being smart. Obviously, he was. We were just like, I found that so strange, because I was like, he was just born. Like, you expect, I don't know, a newborn to like start speaking in like the first, I don't know, few days. I wouldn't know. I've never had a child, but as I said, is that what he would think would happen? Because he literally just got here. He needs to actually assess his surroundings. He needs to know that he exists. And he needs to just know all of these different things. But you want him to just start uttering words. And then of course that's why he was only able to exactly say one word, like not even a sentence, just one word. And then obviously he picked up being able to speak from storybooks. And that's obviously the kind of teaching that he wanted from Victor. And he also, oh my gosh, guys, I just thought about the patting head scene. Remember when he had the rats and he patted his own head, because that was all he wanted. He just wanted to be told that he was doing well. Oh, reassurance. Reassurance. Reassurance is a beautiful thing because that's all the creature wanted. He wanted to be taught and he wanted to be reassured. He also wanted to, like, exactly, like, I feel like, remember, even when Victor and him reunited, so before they reunited on the boat, so obviously I think that was like, I think it was, oh yeah, Elizabeth and William's wedding. Even then, obviously, he just kept saying, wait, oh yeah, he just kept saying monster or it or whatever. He was just referring to the creature as just, yeah, as just a monster. And obviously that's why the creature says the quote, obviously, that I said earlier, that I am just simply am, because it's just like, no, I'm not a monster. I'm actually just a I'm actually just a human being. And so I need to carry on reading that thing on Reddit. It says, ultimately, the creature's main point of agony is that he cannot be anything but alone, as he is visibly inhuman, and humans will naturally buy and large mistreat what they fear and hate. Exactly. Removing that conflict removes the priming root of his misanthropy, though he still might get some odd looks for being one of the tallest men who's ever lived. That's another thing as well. Of course, they had to cast a very tall man like Jacob. Who else could have played him, actually? Then again, not to say there's not tall men in Hollywood, but as I said, like, where are they? Because who's like another actor who I think obviously is very tall, but then that's a Korean actor. That's Byung-Woo Sik. Obviously, he is extremely tall. Do you know what I mean? But like, this is what I'm saying. I don't even feel like Hollywood, exactly, as an industry, has a lot of tall actors in its collection. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as I said, I don't think so. That's obviously why they needed exactly a very huge being to play the creature. I'm still kind of going through all of this stuff. Actually, there's a lot of like great points that people are saying. The creature's problem is not just his appearance. His appearance exposes what he is, a being who has no body of his own. His body belongs to others. Certainly people in life can be cruel by judging others because of their appearance, but the creature in the story is not human and was brought into existence by a narcissist like Victor. One thing I do not get, Victor created the thing, so how is it the creature's appearance came as a shock to him? Exactly. And right, exactly. Like, he had to go and find all these different body parts, and it's like, that is so strange. And then I don't know, you could find such great stuff on Reddit though, guys. Anyways, he was feverishly focused on completing his work, so reassessing what the creature looked like wasn't a priority. Plus, it's very different once it's a living, moving person as opposed to an inanimate body. Also, I feel like it wasn't just about the creature itself. Victor came off from a very high and suddenly realized the magnitude of what he had done, along with being disappointed and shocked at how it failed to be what he had envisioned. This scene is sometimes taken as an analogous to postpartum depression, something Shelley might have experienced herself. Interesting. And then the next person says, God created man in his own image. If the creature is abomination, what does that say about Victor? And then one of the quirks of the novel is that two of them are pretty similar in personality, very much a like father, like son beat. They're both very intelligent and prone to drama and strong fits of emotions, very self-centered and thoughtless toward collateral damages. I actually agree. I saw that too, actually, I suppose, in this whole entire story. Yeah, I saw that too. I saw the similarities of them. Do you know what I mean? And in the way that they both just seemed to have, again, like I said, anger. But I feel like it's always a lot of misdirected anger anyways. It's anger at themselves, and then also the world. It's a bit of both. But then again, then they take it out on each other, on one another. So interesting. Reading all of this stuff on Reddit actually just kind of made me feel like I would love to do something like this anyways. Like, in a way of talking about films with people. Obviously, I do that anyways, but then I just mean like more of a way that's like Reddit, in the way that, like, you know, you have different threads, and basically, like, I suppose you just create a conversation. And I think that is really interesting. And I don't even know what exactly would be the best place to even do that. Because yeah, I mean, obviously I use Substack, which is, yeah, you guys know my Substack. I feel like it might be on, yeah, well, usually it's always at the bottom actually of every single episode. So yeah, it's there. But like, I just feel like what it even would be the best way to create that conversation with others. And even reading the stuff on Reddit was just like, you know, so many people have so many different opinions about Frankenstein. I also would like to obviously look at letterbox reviews in a minute, because you guys know I like doing that on here. So yeah. Yeah, my review was, well, be kind to him. It's his first time here. And yes, I had to write it that way because I said it's all, like, I suppose exactly, it's the phrase of, oh yeah, it's your first time living or whatever. And I do think that's very important. Even though sometimes I know that exactly that sentiment sometimes anyways is like, oh yeah, it's your first time living, can be a bit of a, people sometimes use it as a cop out anyways, because of course they'll be like, oh, it's your first time living, you should know, like, not to do this XYZ type of thing, all these different scenarios. So, but I still feel like, especially in this case, I felt like my review fitted well here, because I was obviously just like, you know, obviously, as I said, the creature was literally like a few weeks old. Like, obviously that's what you would envision a newborn to be. And obviously Victor was doing all of this stuff like, oh, you need to be able to do this or do that. And then we're just like, no. We're just like, no, there's no way that you as a person should be able to bring any kind of life here. Like, we're just like, you shouldn't. There's some people, isn't it, where like some people should not be able to bring life into the world, and we're like, Victor is definitely one of them. We're like, yeah, you're definitely one of them, because you generally can't. You just don't have the means. That's what we all keep saying about Victor. You don't have the means, and if you don't have the means, don't do it. Do you know what I mean? Don't carry it out. Will just end in disaster. We're now at the segment of Letterboxd reviews. This was written by Jaylee. Men will literally reanimate a corpse before they go to therapy. Yes. Well, like, yes. I saw another one that had this same sentiment as well, which said obviously men want to give birth. Yeah, men want to give birth so bad it's crazy. But they wouldn't exactly. I think Victor proves that exactly they wouldn't know anything. They wouldn't know anything about doing it. They like to point fingers and say, oh, how hard is it, you know, to carry a child in your belly and then nurture it. But they're like, they don't even know. They don't even know the first thing about it, you know. And that's the whole thing. Victor was like, oh, I created something. What do I do now? I'm just like, you know, I hate that. Just like, oh yeah, you made a creation and you're like, oh yeah, what happens next? We're like, first of all, you carry on creating, and then also you're supposed to like get better as well. And then you're supposed to learn things about yourself. You're supposed to improve, do all of this stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I suppose, it's like, and it takes them so long, I mean, to then obviously both share their stories with the captain on the boat, to then be like, oh yeah, I forgive you, or whatever. Well then, I suppose, yeah, the creature said, oh yeah, I forgive you, Victor. And then Victor's like, yeah, forgive me, my son, or whatever. First time you call him son, by the way. Do you know what I mean? But it took you that long to get there. All because you hear it. And then, oh yeah, this is written by Nicole. Daddy issues, but when you actually start traumatizing him back. Exactly. That was so good. Like, especially when the creature was like, run. Because he was like, yeah, we're going to play hide and go seek. And I'm the seeker. So you better run fast. I love that. Because he was just trying to get his revenge. Exactly. Get his revenge after it. Um, a character looks Victor in the eyes and says, "You are the monster," in case you missed the point. Yeah, I think the person that said that was, yeah, it was Elizabeth. I'm sure Elizabeth said that to Victor at some point or whatever, but she read him. Like, I think, remember, Elizabeth was so, I think she was so disgusted that Victor even liked her in the first place, because she read him from the first conversation she had with him. She was like, "Oh yeah, you are a fool," and he was like, he was going on like, "Oh yeah, am I a fool?" I'm like, well, I didn't say that, but you did. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was like, whatever. Obviously, you are. You don't need me to tell you, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, Elizabeth was like, yeah, go in there with your cigars and stuff. Like, go and do what men do, because you don't even know anything about what it is that you want to do. And then also Elizabeth wanting to be protective and mother hen and be like, oh, when she's like to William, we have to go back, we have to save him. And I said, exactly, save him from his toxic dad. And that's the whole thing. Actually, I also found that very weird. I was like, you guys left, but then Elizabeth was like, oh no, we need to turn back. And I was like, but if I were you, I wouldn't have been leaving. I wouldn't have been leaving. Obviously, it's like when Super Nanny used to come to houses, she'd be like, this house is in a mess. I have to fix it before I leave. So obviously, I would have done that same thing. I would have been like, this creature is locked downstairs. No, and he's not even allowed to come out, by the way. He's also chained up. So I'd be like, well, all the things are pointing that you're not in a safe environment. So I'm going to have to take you out of here with me. Like, you are leaving with me. You're not staying here. And I said, yeah, I'll fight your dad if you want me to. But I just know that I can't leave you here. I was like, that's so irresponsible. That's what it is. So, fun fact, I just saw someone's review that said the fact that Jacob Elordi was a replacement is crazy because I cannot see anyone else playing this role. And I said that to you guys too. Like, do you see what I mean? I speak things into existence anyways. But anywho, I'm just like, power of words. But anyways, I think that's very weird. Because, as I said, I don't know anyone else who could play him. I don't. And honestly, obviously, as I said, guys, if you do think there is someone else, I think you guys should, yeah, just throw them at me, because obviously I just really don't think I have anyone else, like, on the drawing board, you know? When you think about, casting direction, and you think who should get a role, and it's just like, I don't have any other names for this, and I'm surprised that I don't, but generally, I don't. Like, you know what I mean? I always like to play that game, you know, the whole casting director game. I like playing that, you know, stepping into the shoes and being like, yes, who would I pick if I was making a movie? I like doing that. But with this, I really don't have anyone else. And I'm really happy for Jacob as well, just in general, because obviously I think I was writing an article about him, but then yeah, I'll write an article about him, but of course, as you do, I've procrastinated and it's not finished. But I was basically talking about how Jacob has really basically had a rise to fame, because anyways, he basically came onto the scene in Kissing Booth, and we were like, Kissing Booth was something, but we're just like, he was in that first, but then now he's come from that to this, and then I feel like he'll definitely get some kind of award from playing the creature, for sure, because I feel like to play the creature anyways, you're playing something that basically has to not say much, and he has to really do all the mannerisms, and like that stuff, you know, that's not easy, is it? You know, that's the type of work that like real legends get, you know what I mean? And you see them and you're just like, oh yeah, this person's gonna do great, and we already know that. But like, of course, with Jacob, you don't know. This review says, Adam, all dads are monsters. I mean, yeah, that's crazy. And then, okay, you see, this review here as well was obviously similar to mine, but he's literally 1 year old. Please be nice to him. But seriously, that was so beautiful and fantastic fantastical. I am touched and my heart is warmed and my eyes and my soul have had their fill. And Jacob Elordi, you're a beautiful creature. Oh, that was like what I was saying earlier. And then again, why is everyone being mean to him? Like, please, he's my friend. Everyone is so cute. And then Del Toro's vision was made to be seen on the big screen. Yeah. I think I was obviously also watching the Del Toro. I think there's this thing on Netflix now, which is like his like small documentary kind of thing anyways. But obviously I was looking at that and I was like, wow, like this is really his genre, you know, gothic horror. And it's like, this is what's so weird. I don't even like horror. Like, I mean, that feels weird to say, but it's not like I don't like horror. I just don't go out of my way to watch it because I find it very scary. And like, I don't like jump scares, those type of stuff. And like, when stuff do jump scare me, I'll just turn it off. So that's the whole thing. But with Del Toro, I do feel like he really is, you know what I mean? He really is good. Like, I just mean that, like, I suppose his stuff is like, I suppose it's graphic, but it's also not as like, I feel like it's not as bad as what you like you can see in other horrors. I mean, I do think obviously, yeah, one that stands out to me anyways is Pan's Labyrinth, because of course that whole thing, the guy with the two hands and the eyes, oh yeah, I don't like that, and it's haunted me for like ages. Like I watched Pan's Labyrinth when I was in school, and I've never gone out of my head again, and I would never be watching Pan's Labyrinth again either, even though it's such a great scene though. I mean, it's such a great movie. I mean, but I meant like it's a great movie in all of its in all of its cinematic stuff. Like all of the cinematography, I mean, is just beautiful. But of course, me being having not a strong stomach for it, it's like I just pass on it. I'm just like, no. And that's such a shame, I think, sometimes to live your life that way though anyways, because it's like then you lose out on witnessing greatness. Do you know what I mean? All because of fear, you see. And again, remember, fear is again another theme in this whole entire thing, and that is again why I decided to title the episode this anyways, because about fear and society and how, right, we hate the things that we fear, and so it just ties up in all of that, you know. And that's why and that's why the Frankenstein, like, the creature would lash out, but he's not actually he said he's not a bad person. Do you know what I mean? Like that person was saying, like, he's my friend. He's actually a good guy. Like, he's just misunderstood. So yeah, he's just misunderstood. Like, that is crazy. See, okay, this will be the last review actually. It says, this was written by Jess. I feel so maternal towards him. And I said, yeah. Me too. That's obviously why I said earlier, I feel so maternal towards him, because exactly, if I made you, I would be, I could be a good mother. And I want to be your, what is it? Yeah, and I think that's the song by, what's her name again? Oh my gosh. Adrian Lanker. She makes such good heart-wrenching songs. And I feel like exactly Not a Lot Just Forever would be the song for this anyways, because exactly, like, I could be a good mother, and then honestly I would I said I'd love the socks of the creature. I said yeah. And be like, you did so well today, like all the stuff, you know, praise, yeah, I'd give all of that. Golden stickers, yes. I said, oh, you said another word today, well done to you, you did great. You did great, well done. I think also, now that I thought about that song, I'm gonna find an edit and I'm gonna put it in the description. But obviously, thank you for listening to the episode. And yeah, tell me what you think, as yes, about society makes the monster. Because do you think that society makes the monster? Do you think that, um, yeah, do you think that it has a way of really, um, yeah, just creating the bad guys, I feel anyways. Because exactly, the creature was not a bad guy, but it was in a way that, like, it was in a way that it was portrayed that he is, I feel. But yeah, thank you for listening and see you in the next one.